I'm proud of my version of the Punisher, but I like if I was directing the Punisher, I'd cast Bernthal because he inhabits that. He looks like he's East Coast New York. He looks like he's got Italian blood. He's perfect, for that character. So I'd say more power to him.
One Ranger premieres in theaters as well as digital and on demand on May 5th. So what can fans expect from this film?
A lot of kicking ass, I guess. Right?
They'll meet a man, they'll meet a ranger who just doesn't know the meaning of the word, the term giving up. And he's
right.
Will just keep coming. No matter how hard you try and hit him, shoot him, keep him down, he just keeps on coming. And that's who they're going to meet. And hopefully they really dig the adventure.
That's what I liked about the script was this, you get to see the world of, I really bought that this guy was a Texas Ranger. Kind of guy who's maybe a little anachronistic now, you don't really meet too often anymore, but that are still out there. Old school values, I like the reality of a guy doing his job, but he just been doing it a long time, and he knows that perseverance is the better part of valor.
And of course, and Jesse, I want to ask you this. When you, along with directing, you wrote the script for One Ranger, but ultimately, what made you want to tell this story, which is about a Texas Ranger, working with a British intelligence agent?
Well, I always love the fish out of water stories, Brannigan, Coogan's Bluff, those pictures.
Yeah.
And with this one, I had traveled to Texas quite a lot, and I'd seen the statue at Dallas Love Field Airport of Captain McDonald with the little underneath One Wyatt, One Ranger. And I was fascinated by this law enforcement agency that still wore a cowboy hat, a gun belt, cowboy boots, and had to have a specific brand of denim jeans that they had to buy themselves. And I thought, this in this modern sort of 20th, 21st century world, to have someone who harkens back to the clothing of the 1890s is so romantic, but not romantic from a holding hands style, but romantic from a poetic, literal sort of perspective. And the more I dug into the Texas Rangers, the more I realized they're a fantastic resource for a filmmaker, for a writer to have a character like that. There's so much you can do with it. It's really, really ripe fruit, So that was the initial seed of interest in it. And the more you learn about it, they're technologically one of the most advanced law enforcement agencies. And part of their coda is that when a problem occurs that other law enforcement cannot deal with, that's when you call in the Texas Rangers. And that's pretty awesome. That's almost like a real life superhero. And I'm fed up with superhero movies. I like real life superheroes a little more. So that's what appealed to me, I think.
And Thomas, this actually leads to my question for you. The Texas Rangers have been around for well over 200 years, or close to 200 years. How much did you know about the division before taking on the role?
Well, I knew them by reputation only. So I had to go buy a bunch of books. One of them called One Ranger.
Yeah.
I particularly like the books about the history of the guns, the Texas Rangers. That was a good book.
It's a brilliant one. Firearms of the Texas Rangers.
Firearms of the Texas Rangers.
There's so much told from there. I've gone to the Auction Museum a few times. They have this most amazing collection of firearms. They're historical ones, and there's a whole section divided off for guns of the Texas Rangers. Now, it's not because I'm a gun nut. It's interesting because of the historical standpoint of each of these firearms and who used them, the events that they were used in. And as you say, it's over 200 years old. It's absolutely ripe with fantastic history. I'm also an Englishman who lives in America, so I understand the fish out of water a little bit, from a perspective, and of course enjoyed that.
Yeah, back off and go to England. We send our Texas Ranger to England. So it was pretty fun. It was a pretty fun setup.
Yeah. I think the English love cowboys as well. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, country and western was enormous in the UK. You'd see people in the inner city grey, dirty in the city, and they're working taxi cabs and, and very blue collar jobs. And at weekends and Friday nights, they dress up as cowboys and go to the country and western bar. And I always found that fascinating.
Of course, absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you this: if you directed your share of action films over the years, where does One Ranger rank in terms of action and intensity?
It's pretty intense. The spinal cord of the action in this movie are these 4 or 5 encounters that Thomas's character has with a very, very tough Russian called Oleg, played by wonderful Jesse Alden, ex-UFC fighter. And each one of these fights is more and more brutal than the one that came before it. And inventing it and choreographing it and making it work. Thomas was absolutely insane. He put himself into that right in the thick of it. And he moves better than most stunt guys. And I can talk from experience of having seen that, gets in there and they just beat the hell out of each other. It comes to the point at the end of the last fight where they look at each other and say, "Are we really going to do this again?" And I think fight fans, action fans, movie fans are going to love this. I mean, it's, as I said, it's the spinal cord of the story that we hang our cloth on, and it's quite fun.
Yeah, those fight scenes were really intense, and I really enjoyed them. And but Thomas, I wanted to ask you this: in the film, you get to work with John Malkovich. Now, it's interesting because in the film he plays an ally, and I'm so used to seeing him in kind of villainous roles. So, what was it like working with him, and have you worked with him before?
I did work with Malkovich a long time ago on a film called Mutant Chronicles with Ron Perlman. And Malkovich came in, all the actors love John Malkovich. He's a well-earned reputation, and there was an antagonistic side to the character because, well, they're allies, they're in different sides of the world, right? So they've got their own opinion. They're both professionals who've been around the block. So they both have very sort of set ways in which they think things should be accomplished. And so in that way, there's tension between the two. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they're on the same side. So.
And Jesse, for you, John Malkovich, and I think he was also an executive producer on this film. What was it like having him on set?
I love him. I've worked with him before. He's very, very smart, very funny. He came straight from theatre where he's been doing French in a colloquial form of French, not even just French, and learns the whole script ahead of time. In French, yeah. Really? Just awesome. I like him a lot. He's keeps you on your toes, lots of ideas, and just we were lucky to have him on film, and he's phenomenal. The chemistry with the team is great.
Of course. And Thomas, I want to ask you this. Your role in One Ranger is very intense. I really enjoyed it. But ultimately, what was the best thing about playing Alex and just filming One Ranger?
You get to step inside the skin of American icon that I felt the obligation to represent the Texas Rangers in the best possible light without sacrificing the integrity of the job. So that was an honor for me, to put on I remember when the costumer, I met her at one of these Western Outfitters, where they got 10,000 hats and 2,500 boots, and going through, I must have looked at 100 different boots to find the right ones. The right boots didn't quite fit. They were like a half a size too big. And the stunt team was like, "You're going to be sliding around." And I was like, "Doesn't matter. I got to have these. These are the boots," and they didn't have them in my size, but I wore them anyway. When the belt, the outfit, I actually had the Texas. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had that ordered, made special. There's still leather guys who will make the leather belts, but for the Texas Rangers specifically.
Right.
So I had a set of those made. I wanted it to be right, and I think we got pretty close.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. And Jesse, I want to ask you this. Ultimately, what did you like most about working on this movie?
I think collaborating with Thomas, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to work with an actor that is as passionate, as focused, and as disciplined as I aspire to be. It's really, really exciting. As he mentioned, what we were terribly scared of was creating a cliche that people had seen before. We wanted everything to be based in reality, which meant a lot of research, which is exciting. I like that. You come to work in the morning, you're entering another world. You're in, as Thomas rightly says, he inhabited this character. And for me, then the challenge was keeping up with that and making sure that the other characters were as well drawn, as well detailed, and as well researched. The scenes were as well done, the action was well, questioning everything, looking at it all. And it was really an exciting, profound experience. And it was just a lot of fun with him. He's one of the best in the game. I've wanted to work with him for a long, long time. And it's great to watch him up close.
Totally agree. And Thomas, this last question is for you. And as Jesse mentioned, you've had a great career. And I remember the one thing I remember you from is The Punisher, which was just an intense and wild film. With the Marvel Cinematic Universe expanding into the multiverse, would you like to reprise your role as the Punisher in a potential film if the opportunity came up?
I think John Bernthal inhabits that character. I never felt that I was physically perfect for the part. I love the emotion of it, and I got as close as I could. And I'm proud of my version of the Punisher. But I like, if I was directing the Punisher, I'd cast Bernthal, because he inhabits that. He looks like he's East Coast New York. He looks like he's got Italian blood. He's perfect, for that character. So I'd say more power to him.
Having said that, I saw a video online of John Bernthal and Thomas Jane shooting together in the hair.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
I thought of the potential mashup there. There's something very cool, I think.
It absolutely was.
The table.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Again, congratulations on One Ranger, and continued success to both of you.